It's time for the show you know is happening right now. It's time for the show. It's time for the show. It's time for the show. It's time. Oh, I'm not gonna sing. I won't sing. I won't do that to you. Unless you want me to, then I'll work on my singing. Notice how that works. The intro of this thing is like, hey, what do you guys want? Even though this is like an improvised thing. Anyway, you know what this is if you've been tuning in. If not, hello, I'm Dutcher Snedeker, and this is the Dutcher Snedeker podcast. And what is it, you might ask? Well, it is happening right now. And it will continue to happen for the next approximately 30 minutes. So sit back, grab a beverage, sit on the patio with a nice friend, and enjoy some entertainment. Enjoy it. Isn't that nice? This patch is called Soft Pop. It's very soft, very... Did you know there was something in I can't know when you come to me? Can you deal with being the no melt? Every pound that's in me, oh, I'm barely whole. I can tell you what, can I tell you what you're not doing when you can do. Is that pop? Pop is like, at least now, is like, wait. Soft, girl, and then we get it. And then we do. Ooh. The talented ones can follow they go. They sing those notes. But when we know and going on, there's a party in the building zone. Is this a hit? Can I retire yet? Is that a hit? Did I marry a hit? We're gonna party like the mid-fanning sun. You can't imagine so nowhere to go. There's a party going all the time. When you know me gonna be, it's gonna be, it's gonna be. And then the club mix is like, you know, like. Oh, that's like the you turn the like you just open that filter and then we're gonna get it like they're cutting up the vocal part and just splicing it to like and then some, you know, they do the live version and it's like and then they, you know, you might throw in a reharm like we're gonna party, party, party. We're gonna party, party, party. I don't know if they get that, like borrowing from another tonicization. Quick lesson. If you want to sound hip. How do I sound hip? I only know I played in King Oliver's band. I'm still alive and I'm still gigging. I just need, how do I become hip? Some poor old musician. It's like, I'm from 1905. The automobile was just getting going. Now it could drive itself. I can't handle the planet anymore. It's like I traded in my horse, my childhood horse, for a Model T, that piece of junk from that racist Henry Ford. just shaking his fist at God, like, why am I still alive? iPhone, I don't need one. But how to sound hip? Try borrowing from other keys. So, for example, what I did there, like we're in D minor, most likely B flat major. More D minor. And why is that? Because B flat major, C major, and D minor all fit in the key of D minor. And that walk up is a classic. But you know, sometimes it's... I do that all the time at Earth Radio shows. I start on A flat. It's like a, you did it! But, so that walk up, you got the 6 and 7. And the root, 6, 7 root. And then what I did for the reharm, I just went down the scale and I'm playing these random chords and, you know, just playing around with different tonalities. So I'm still in the key up until, you know, I'm at the I land on the point I want to land on, and I start shifting into another key by using a chord that, like, if you were to examine it in theory, I swear I'm doing something important. That's why I'm not looking at the camera. If you do this, it's cool. Okay, let's start that over, because I thought I could be slick and, like, plug in the phone, because the phone was on low battery, and I'm like, oh, my computer's on, I'll just plug it into the computer, it's where my tripod is, and then it shut off my phone. It shut it off, and it stops the video, so we're back here. I've made a new marking point. You just let the audio roll. Back to our pop song. So I did B flat, an inversion of an F chord, but I added the 9. So I'm not doing a root type thing. I'm adding that little color. And then G minor, which is still in the key of D. I think I went down to, did I go down to F? And then I think I hit E flat. E flat, it puts us, closer to B flat major. But you can also, when you land on the D flat, it sounds less abrasive because you're sequencing two chord qualities together. And a sequence is basically like you do a thing and that thing repeats in another, like immediately following. So like if this is a sequence, then this would be a following of the sequence, just a different key, or a lot of jazzers do that, when soloing, because you could do the blues trick. Oh wait. Like you're just shifting around. You're just using different sequences to jump around and express an idea in different ways and all that. But in this harmonic progression, it allows this D flat to not feel as foreign, because we started here and we end on a different chord quality in a different key that is very unrelated. But this D flat is also a C sharp. Notice how it doesn't sound like it's good. Now you have like a diminished chord, or like that sounds more like what you want. But to get here, you have to prepare the ear with those two chords. So you have then you can just jump back to that B flat, and it's just you. It's one way to sound hip. You add a chord that's like, oh, it's not in the key, or like if I were to do like go really hard into a key change. um, am I making millions of dollars? No. Maybe I need to write more of these songs. Like I was looking for you and I saw you and there was say, 'cause you weren't there and you saw them whispering in your ear 'cause it hurts. It's always like hurt, pain. And you never would never be there 'cause you lying. That almost sounds churchy. Like, we believe in the leaving the soul of which is fine. It's all chords. It's all a friend of mine once quoted. He was quoted as saying, he probably got it from someone else. There are only 12 notes, and that person was Travis Swanson. Look up his music if you want to listen to some guitar, some jazz guitar. Not your Wes Montgomery, more like your, he studied with Miles Okazaki. So anyway, digress. There's only 12 notes. So when you're listening to songs and you're like, well, why does this one sound different? Production. It could be production. It could be obvious things like lyricism, not the exact backbeat or the exact or not even a backbeat, the groove. A backbeat is a type of groove. It might be a different arrangement of the instrumentation, a different orchestration, where you're like building out parts, like a more rich horn section or string section or percussion section, maybe adding doubling guitar textures, doubling keys, all that stuff. It could also be, it could be just they added a bar of 2, they're like we're gonna go tonight. So like I added a bar of 2 because it's still, you can still have the but you can't do like you could still dance, but it's just like that little extra like hoop that like we're not quite into the next part. You could all it could be like, oh, it's got like, oh, it's that keyboard lick, or oh, they added a like they added a guitar thing. It's all notes. That's why go look up right now. You can stop watching. Go look up the Axis of Awesome video, the 4-chord song. They do a bit where they play, or same progression, different key, or I don't know. Just insert your favorite song. It's probably that. Play the rock key. You know, songwriting. I don't do a lot of it, but I listen to how songs are put together, and I would hope this year I just need to get on it. I just need to do what everyone does: get the whiteboard, make the grid, and be like, oh, I got 6 tracks, and then we got these instruments as the foundation, and then you're like, you can put a little X. Like I did guitar parts for this song today. I did bass tracks all day Friday. You organize it, you split it up. Or if you're an inhuman monster, you do it all in one day. And all the tracking, and then you have another, you have more time to mix, more time to do whatever. But it's never that simple. Or, sometimes it is. I jump to conclusions. It's usually it can be just as easy. Sometimes I go and I do a thing, and it's like, you play a note, and it's like, that's cool. Play another note, that's cool. Oh, we did it. But, everyone's got their own approach. And I can't, I can't, tell a person to do one thing or the other. What I can do is observe how people are doing things and then try and adapt it to my own vocabulary. So I'm thinking of an example. One thing, chord. It's something I tell a lot of jazz players that might need is like, how do you sound out? They've learned, the dominant chords, and they've learned some major 7s, minor 7s, maybe some, add the 9th. Maybe they're doing some sharp 11s, adding that kind of color. And it's like, how do you sound out? It's like, well, you could just play around with quartal harmony. Quintal, if you want to get. So what do I mean by quartal and quintal? Well, think of quart, 4 quarts in a gallon, and quintal, think of 5 quintals. It's 5, like quintuplet. A quartal harmony is simply just built. Today's podcast is just a lesson in whatever I'm thinking about. So glean whatever you will. This is my podcast, and you know what? I asked for your input at the beginning, and nobody said anything. So what am I supposed to do? I'm supposed to just sit here and just be like, hey, no one's saying anything. I recorded this in advance, and I have to edit it, and you're not saying anything. How dare you? Chordal harmony, it's a chord built in fourths. So what I'm playing right now is F, E flat, E flat. And yes, I should have a top-down camera. You're right. You're so right. See that stupid mic stand in the back that I have for that purpose? Why isn't it over here? It'd be a weird angle. Well, I guess I could get a side. You know what? Quartal harmony. Here we go. Here's quartal harmony. Built in fourths. F, B flat, E flat. And I'm just sequencing it. So I moved it up a step, moved it up a half step, another step, another whole step, another small lesson. Whole steps versus half steps. C to D, that's a whole step. It's got a note in between. A half step, chromatic, C to C sharp. So there you go. Usually they have, if there's a note in between these defined pitches, the distance is a whole step versus a half step. And then you get to other intervals like minor third, major third, fourth, augmented fourth, diminished fifth, minor six, dominant 7, major 7, 8 octave, and 7. Back to quartal. See how already you're like, ooh, I don't know where it's going, because the dominant 7, that motion, everyone, you hear that tension. I wanna drop down to the D. did the deceptive cadence where it goes to the minor. I'm teaching you a lot of things rapid fire, but you can pause it if you want to write stuff down. So the dominant 7 also has a third. So it wants to go up to the B flat. And even you could have that as a major 7, but the tendency tones. Just playing around with thirds and sevenths. A lot of jazz is third and sevenths. I just did, 3 different blues chords with sets of 2 notes. I didn't leave this range. So in quartal, so it's open. So the 7 wants to go down, but the B flat is already present. And in this chord, it serves as a suspension, because with a suspension you have they do it a lot in church. You're waiting for it to resolve. Or maybe it's a song that doesn't have it resolved. But you can sound out by doing quartal. So you're like playing. Another good example, look at the song Passion Dance. It's like it outlines the tonic, and then 4th, 7th, 5th. So it's great when the solo is open F. I don't know how to do bass lines. So now you have like... outside the key there, but quartal. So I don't think quartal works with pop. You can't. I don't know. That's not really. It's not really. You can't really use. People probably use quartal, and you could do like that suspension sound. Something like that. Try things. Be thoughtful of what you're doing, how you're doing it. Take notes if you discover a thing that you dig. Try it out in a different key. Try it out in a different song. Rewrite a part. Play around with like new things. Be your favorite artist. Try to be your favorite artist. Didn't think you'd get a lesson today in music, did you? You thought I was just going to ramble about nothing. I mean, to some people, this sounds like just nothing. Like, where does it mean quartal? Is quarter? I have 4 quarters. Does it cost money? Is that what it is? A quintal? Quintal. I think I knew a quintal in high school. Quintal Sampson. He used to play for the football team, and wow, I just think back to old Quintal on the field throwing them passes. He was the third best runner in our high school football team, and he placed 10th overall nationally. He would have gone pro if it wasn't for the war. He got drafted, and then he survived, but he went on to do a military career, and he became the Secretary of Education. Old Quintal Sampson. He served under Eisenhower. It was quite remarkable how, he got out of one war and he's back in another. Old Quintal. Couldn't keep the dog down. Couldn't keep old Quintal down. Yes. The story of Quintal Sampson is one that you just need to know. They don't teach it in the history books. Gotta do it. Quintal. So I don't know. Be exploratory. Try things out, because a lot of what pop is right now is just like it's the same vibe, and everyone's just kind of throwing extra sounds in it to be like, that's mine. That's my vibe. I'm the one who wrote about partying until the morning, not party all night like some people. That's so cliche. I am saying that it's an endurance test. It is not simply when the night is over. It is until the morning. We are on a schedule. Do these successful songwriters think these? That's why I want to talk to some of these those songwriters who all their credits are like, yeah, I wrote all your favorite songs I wrote the last 30 years. And you're like, what? What do you mean she doesn't write her own songs? She's perfect. No, she sounds great. She co-wrote this with 4 other people because of the copyright law. I feel like that's a good motivator. The copyright renews after 70 years, and then the youngest, or the copyright expires after 70 years. It's up for renewal or purchase, and a lot of these companies, they hold on to these songs because they continue to earn revenue on them. And then that's why all these pop stars, like Olivia Rodrigo, she's 18. I found that out yesterday. And I'm like, what? She's 18. and some people have started even younger and in the industry like this. And, they have a team of songwriters all writing their music with them or for them in some aspects. And then the people who hold the copyright, like the record companies, they get to keep or share that revenue until Olivia is, let's use Olivia example. She either gives up, she just gives them full control, or after 70 years after her death, then it's up for renewal. So we're talking in 150 years. Does that math check out? I don't know. In over 80, probably 100. Let's say she lives till she's 80. Then in 150 years total from when the song was written, let's say she wrote it now, and then 50 years later, you get what I'm trying to say. After she dies, then it starts the timer. 70 years after the timer, that's when it's up for renewal. So these properties are just going to be held on to forever and get thousands of streams and millions of dollars. And, they'll do a reissue of something. They'll do a remix. They'll update the mix for a new generation. They'll do a club remix. They'll pull something out and be like, this was kind of a hit. Let's throw this back to all the Gen Zers. And it's it just keeps going and going and going in perpetuity. And then other people are like, hey, I'm making art that's connected with people on a more personal and less commercial level. And then there people are like, no, you gotta do the it's just a song that just that's another thing. It's a song that just tells you what you're doing. It's we're gonna dance, and then we're gonna go to the club and It's like, is this what you want? You just want your music to be like, to give you permission to just like, it's like John Mulaney's bit. Like, he's like, if it, all these songs are like, it's only tonight, it's only one night, and he's like, if I wrote a song about my generation, it'd be like, tonight's no good. How about next Thursday? Oh, you can't do it then? Then it's fine. We won't see each other for 8 months. It's like, that's so true. Like, the closer you get to 30, it's just like, you get like you have like a few close friends, then everyone else is just kind of like in the periphery until like something good happens, and then, or bad. It's like everyone chimes in on Facebook. It's just like, oh, good job, you did it, you did a good job there, Billy, you did it, you made an impression, you did it. Oh, it's so good, Billy, that you did good. And then it's like, today was the hardest day of my life. I had to burn down my business. This wasn't a choice that I made easily, but I had to do it. And then everyone's like, yo, I feel so bad. I loved your business, and now you're doing no business anymore. Oh, Lord. That's an Anthony Jeselnik bit also of like the people who they comment on like, very public tragedy type things. And it's like, it's not people giving their opinion. It's just people being, they just kind of post whatever. And sure, at the core of it, it's like humanity coming together to like, lend support, or some people just want to yell all the time and just like, I'm here. And that's kind of Anthony Jeselnik's point, is like, some of those people are like, they're like, it's like, don't forget about me. Don't forget about me. I know there was this car crash, and oh, little Tommy is fighting for his life. And he's gonna. It's looking good. He's gonna pull through. But we just started a GoFundMe to raise the hospital bills, because why do we have to raise GoFundMes to go to the hospital? Why do we need to crowdsource our healthcare? Anyway, he's saying like, don't forget about me. Don't forget about me, man. I'm here. It's like, I know the post was about this person and what happened to them, but don't forget about me. And that's why a lot of the music's just dance, drink till you're done, and then you dance, and then you go to the club, and then there's a and then you gotta But maybe you want to go to the club. Maybe the club is a nice jazz club. Get a nice plate of food and enjoy some music from the lovely jazz musicians on the stage. Wow, look at them, they're playing jazz. I'm so enthralled. Look at them go playing jazz. Ah, it's so soothing. Also, if you didn't realize, this is the outro. I bookend the starts and ends of stuff with music, because I'm a simple man with simple ideas. How do you innovate on a podcast? I don't know. What do you mean innovate on a podcast? I don't know. It's people talking. I'm just doing this for fun. Hands down. Like, I hope you're all enjoying this, and I'm going to keep doing it, and I'm going to keep tweaking things, and days like today will be like, hey, let's just do something. I talked about music, I talked about pop stuff, I had snuck in some opinions, I referenced comedy, like, I'm hitting all the bases. I'm hitting all the art bases, sort of. The YouTube art bases, the podcast. I don't know. If you like it, support me on the platform. Go to Spotify, go to Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, Anchor.fm. If you, I don't know what that is. It's a distributor for all the podcasts. You heard the ad at the beginning of the show. But you can also go to patreon.com/Snedeker. Patreon.com/Snedeker. There's links in the description. You can click all over stuff, find things. Continue support. What else? They say you gotta mention things. Oh, subscribe, follow, share. Your support is great, which it is. I'm not reading anything because this is an improvised podcast. So, I'm taking in the bulk of all of my knowledge and just throwing it at the wall of this podcast. And that's why this outro is probably 2 minutes too long. But hey, you go out there, get ready for summer, get vaccinated, enjoy whatever, and we'll see you next week. Woo! What is that? Dungeon Snedeker Podcast Nobel Peace Prize? Well, I don't know about that, but... Oh, what's that? I get a free... Oh, okay. Free coupon for... Okay, purchase of a... Yeah, that makes more sense for what this is. All right, I'm going to go get that sandwich. See you next time.